I want you to imagine waking up in a hospital bed, tubes in your arm, the smell of antiseptic, a heart monitor beeping next to your head, and the first thing you think about, the only thing you think about, is getting home. Now imagine getting home, and the locks have been changed. Your key doesn't work. There's a "sold" sign in the yard, and your neighbor is standing on their porch staring at you like you're a stranger. Because as far as the paperwork was concerned, you were. My sister sold my house while I was fighting for my life, and she almost got away with it. My name is Renee. I'm 38 years old, and this is the story of the worst betrayal I've ever survived, and the revenge that gave me my life back. Before I tell you what she did, I have to tell you who she was to me. Because if I just say my sister betrayed me, you might not understand how deep that cut goes. Dana is 4 years older than me. Growing up, she was everything. She taught me how to ride a bike. She held my hand at our mother's funeral when I was 17 and too numb to cry. She was the maid of honor at my wedding and the first person I called when my marriage fell apart. For 34 years, Dana was my person. After my divorce, I picked myself back up. Slowly, painfully, but I did it. I got a paralegal job that I was good at. I saved every dollar I could. And after 5 years of sacrifice, I bought my house. Not a big house, a small 2-bedroom on a quiet street in Columbus, Ohio. Cream-colored siding, a little porch where I used to drink coffee every morning, a garden in the back that I was slowly, badly learning to maintain. But it was mine. The first thing I'd ever owned that no one could take from me. Dana had been struggling for a while. She never said exactly how bad it was, but I knew. Divorce, bad business decisions, a loan she'd taken out that had grown into something ugly. Whenever money came up, she'd change the subject or make a joke. I helped where I could. Lent her money, twice, that I never asked to be paid back. Had her over for dinner so she wasn't eating alone. Never made her feel ashamed. Because that's what you do for family. About 8 months before all this happened, Dana started asking questions about my house. Casual questions at first. What do you think it's worth now? Have you thought about refinancing? Did you ever add anyone else to the deed? I thought she was just making conversation. She was interested in real estate. That was Dana, always had some new side hustle she was researching. I told her what I knew, the rough value, that I owned it outright, that no, there was no one else on the deed. I handed her the blueprints to my own destruction, and I didn't even know it. In February, I got sick. What started as what I thought was a bad flu turned into something else, a pulmonary embolism. Blood clots in my lungs. I collapsed at work on a Tuesday afternoon. I spent 11 days in the hospital. 2 of those days, I genuinely didn't know if I was going to make it. Dana came to see me. She sat next to my bed and held my hand. She brought me terrible hospital cafeteria coffee, and we watched bad reality TV together. She told me not to worry about anything. She told me she would take care of everything while I was gone. She was taking care of things, just not the things I thought. When I was discharged, my coworker Marcus drove me home because Dana said she had a conflict. I didn't think anything of it. I was tired. I just wanted my bed and my porch and my terrible coffee routine. We pulled up to my house, and I immediately noticed the lockbox on the door. One of those real estate agent lockboxes. I figured maybe Dana had arranged something. Maintenance, maybe? She had a spare key. I tried my key anyway. It didn't work. Then Marcus pointed to the yard. A small printed sign. Sold. Pending transfer. I thought I was hallucinating. I had just been in the hospital. I was on medication. Surely my eyes were wrong. Surely this was a mistake. A neighbor's sign, the wrong address. I called Dana from the driveway. She didn't answer. I called again, straight to voicemail. I called a third time and she picked up. And before I could even speak, she said, and I remember every single word, "Renee, I can explain. I'm so sorry. I was going to tell you, I needed the money. Please don't be angry." I stood in the driveway of the house that I had scraped and sacrificed for, and I said nothing for a very long time. Because I didn't have words for what was happening inside me. When I finally found my voice, I asked her how. I asked her how this was even possible. She broke down, or pretended to. She'd forged my signature on a power of attorney document. She'd used that document to list and sell the property to a cash buyer who asked minimal questions and moved fast. The sale had closed 5 days earlier while I was still in the hospital. She got $162,000. She'd already spent a significant portion of it on her debt. I want to stop here and say something. In that moment, I did not scream. I did not cry. I went completely, terrifyingly calm. The kind of calm that comes when your brain hasn't fully accepted what your ears just heard. I told her not to call me. I hung up the phone, and I stood in that driveway, homeless, barely out of the hospital, still in recovery, and I started thinking. I am a paralegal. I work in a law firm. I understand legal documents. I understand property law. And I understood, standing in that driveway, that what my sister had done was not just a betrayal. It was a crime. I didn't go to the police that night. I know that sounds strange, but I'd seen enough cases at work to know that emotions move slow and evidence moves fast. If I reacted immediately, she'd cover her tracks. She'd hide the money. She'd build a story. So I didn't give her the satisfaction of knowing I was already 3 steps ahead. I stayed with Marcus and his wife for 2 weeks. I told Dana I was staying with a friend and that I needed space to process. I let her think I was devastated and directionless. I was devastated. I just wasn't directionless. The first thing I did was call an attorney. Not the firm I worked at, conflict of interest, but a real estate and criminal law attorney named Patricia. I found her through a referral, and I sat across from her desk and I laid out everything I knew in 17 minutes flat. She looked at me for a long moment and said, "You have a very strong case. Do not touch your phone, do not contact your sister, and do not move." I did exactly as I was told. Over the next 3 weeks, Patricia and I built a case that was airtight. The forged power of attorney document had my signature, but a handwriting analysis expert confirmed within days that it wasn't mine. The notary who'd supposedly witnessed it? When investigators went to speak with her, it turned out she had a prior relationship with Dana. That notary lost her commission. Dana lost her alibi. We also discovered something that Patricia called extraordinarily helpful. Dana had sold the house at a below-market price. Fast, low, no questions. The buyer, a small investment LLC, had a history of exactly these kinds of transactions. Patricia believed they may have known the situation wasn't clean. That opened a second legal front I hadn't even anticipated. Meanwhile, I was documenting everything Dana said to me. I started responding to her occasional texts, carefully, with Patricia reviewing everything I sent first. I let Dana believe I was grieving and confused. She sent me texts that were part apology, part rationalization. She said she'd meant to pay it back. She said she'd been in a desperate place. She said she thought I would understand eventually. Every one of those texts was logged and printed. Every phone call I returned, with a recorder running, legal in Ohio, was transcribed. There was one night, about 2 weeks into this process, where I sat alone in Marcus's guest room and I let myself actually feel it. Not the legal strategy, not the evidence gathering, just the raw human devastation of it. I cried for a long time that night. For the house, for the garden I'd planted, for the porch where I had genuinely been happy, for the sister I thought I had. And then I got back to work. 6 weeks after I'd been discharged from the hospital, Dana called to say she wanted to meet. She suggested a coffee shop. I suggested her apartment. She went quiet for a moment, then agreed. She didn't know that I was coming with Patricia. When we arrived, Dana opened the door, and I watched her face go through about 5 emotions in 2 seconds. Relief, confusion, recognition, and then something that looked very much like fear. Patricia introduced herself. Dana asked what was happening. Patricia told her in plain terms what she was facing: felony forgery, identity fraud, fraudulent real estate transfer, potential conspiracy with the buyer, a civil suit for the full value of the property plus damages. Dana started crying almost immediately. She said she'd pay it back. She said she'd get a loan. She said she was sorry. She was sorry. She was so sorry. She reached for my hand and I stepped back, and I told her, very quietly, very clearly, that sorry wasn't a transaction. Patricia handed her the civil complaint and the criminal referral we were filing with the Franklin County Prosecutor's Office. I want to be clear. I did not enjoy watching my sister cry. I want to be clear about that. Part of me wanted to sit on that floor and cry with her. Part of me wanted to go back 3 months and answer whatever it was she'd really been trying to ask me when she started asking about the house. But I had also learned, sitting in that hospital bed, that I was the only person responsible for protecting my own life. The criminal case moved forward. Dana's attorney negotiated a plea. She pled guilty to felony forgery and fraudulent conveyance. The judge sentenced her to 2 years probation, mandatory restitution, and community service. The civil case settled. The buyers LLC, facing their own exposure, cooperated with the proceedings, and the sale was legally unwound. The title reverted to me after 4 months of proceedings. I got my house back. I stood on that porch again on a Wednesday morning in October. Cream-colored siding. The garden was overgrown and half dead, but the porch was there. And I stood there in the cold, and I drank my terrible coffee, and I let myself just be there. It has been 14 months since that morning on the porch. Dana and I don't speak. I don't know if we ever will again. She's completing her restitution payments, and other than that, she is not part of my life. People ask me if I miss her, and the honest answer is that I miss who I thought she was. I miss the woman who held my hand at our mother's funeral. I miss the sister who was my person. But that woman made a choice, multiple choices. She looked at my hospital bed and saw an opportunity. And I can't unknow that. What I learned through all of this is something that is painful and also, strangely, freeing. You cannot control who betrays you. You can only control what you do after. I was broke. I was sick. I was homeless for 2 months. And I still came out the other side with my house, my name on the deed, and my dignity intact. That's mine. Nobody can take that. If you're watching this and you've been betrayed by someone you loved, someone who was supposed to be your safe place, I need you to hear this. Your grief is valid. Your anger is valid. And your right to protect yourself is valid. Document everything. Know your rights. And never, ever let someone's tears talk you out of what you know to be true. The hardest part of this story isn't the forgery. It isn't the months of legal battles. The hardest part is that the last time I was in that hospital, terrified and uncertain, the person I called was her. And she answered, and she was already planning. I'm Renee, and this has been my confession. If this story hit you, you know what to do. Subscribe. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And drop a comment. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you completely trusted? I read every single one.